Yo, what's up? I'm Dulex, and I'm going to show you this van I built. So this is the main entrance of the van right here. Right here, this is where the outdoor shower is. I just have a key in there so that you can open and close it. And then this is connected to the water system in the back. So this has hot and cold water in it right here. And it also has a little switch so you can start and stop it right from here so you don't have to keep wasting your water. So I put the switch panel right at the entrance so that it would be easy to get to. I put 5 switches in, but I only actually wired up the first 2, and the other 3 are open, and it's pre-wired already so that you can put in whatever you want to put on these switches. Usually after you stay in these for a while, you realize what you want to have on switches and what you don't, so then you start adding stuff in. The first switch is for the lights, so there's 12-volt lighting going throughout this entire thing, as well as a reading light in the back. And the second switch controls the water pump, so when you hit it, you can hear it kick on. Right now it's cold out here, it's about 20 degrees, so I actually drained the water tank so that we wouldn't have any frozen lines. But if the water system was pressurized, then you would only hear it power on like that for a few seconds until the entire system is pressurized, and then it's silent after that. And then once you open up a faucet, then you'll hear it when it opens and closes the faucet, and that's it at that point. There's also a 12-volt plug up front and some 12-volt USBs just so you can plug some stuff in. Right here, this is the entryway into the cab. I didn't really do anything up here, but I did create this partition wall with the transition, so you can be driving in here or whatever you're doing, and there's plenty of room for you to just kind of get up and go straight into the back here. This part right here is the curtain. So this is a roller shade blackout curtain that we're using to give you some privacy back here. With all the lights on in here at night, you cannot see any light bleeding through. As long as you have this brought all the way down, then you can't see any light coming through from the front. But up here, these Ram vans come with this headliner shelf. So I built that in, kind of put a little door onto it and made the shelf a little bit longer. And this is so deep, I'm just sticking my arm as far back as it can go, and I have a pretty big wingspan, and I cannot even touch the front of that. And this goes all the way back to that wall, all the way back to this wall. Plenty of space in there. So the shower is pretty simple. It's a shower. You stand in there and you take a shower. I'm a little bit too tall for this, but I was making this for a shorter person so they don't mind having this rain head where it is. If you use this knob right here, turning it left or right will transition it from the water coming out from here or coming out from this shower wand. The walls in this shower are these PVC material so that it's much lighter than if you use real tile. I ended up putting up plywood and sealing it with Red Guard, then putting these tiles on top of it. And I put it on there with construction adhesive that's waterproof, as well as bathroom tile caulk to cover all of the seams and make sure it's completely waterproof through and through. On this side, I wanted to make sure that you had access to the plumbing at all times, but I also wanted all the plumbing and wires and stuff to be invisible so that you're not, feeling like you're sitting in a construction zone. It's actually a false wall. So if I come over here, I can actually pull this wall out, and it's magnetically connected onto there, and this gives you access to all of the plumbing stuff. And it's invisible, because when I put this wall back up, it disappears, it's completely gone, and you don't really feel like it's there. I just put in this pre-made shower pan. All of the water for that goes to a water tank that's underneath the floor of the van. This is the toilet that I put in here. It's just one of those regular flushable toilets that everything goes down into this tank on the bottom, and you have to put some chemicals in there to make sure it won't smell and clean it out after you use it every single time, so nobody ever uses them. So then over here, this is the kitchen area. I was faced with a challenge of putting in this massive sink in here while still trying to make this as usable of an area as possible. We have a flip up counter over here just to give you a little bit more space because there wouldn't be any otherwise. And then I also built in this sink cover that is made of the same material as the rest of the counter. It's actually the cutout from the sink that you can put here when you're not using the sink, so that you have some extra space and you can do whatever you're gonna do. Everyone always says to use these as cutting boards, but I'm just always thinking, how are you gonna clean it if it's bigger than the sink? So I don't always recommend people using it as a cutting board, but it's really good for a cover though. Then once you take it off, that reveals what's underneath, which is obviously a sink. This sink has a pretty nicely sized drying tray in it so that you can put your dishes down in there after you clean them and let them dry out. And you can put this cover on top of it, and then once the cover is on, then you don't really have to worry about seeing all the dishes down in there, dirty or clean. Underneath this cabinet, that's where I did all of the plumbing for this, and I try to keep it as minimal as possible. So the drain comes down into this drain catch so that if anything comes through here that's not supposed to be there, all you have to do is untwist this so that you can clean it out. And that goes down into the water tank that's underneath the floor that I talked about earlier. Then you'll see these water lines coming up from the bottom, and these are going to the hot and cold water for the outdoor shower, as well as up to the faucet for the sink. So I've seen a whole bunch of people with a lot of stuff going on underneath their cabinets, but I tried to keep this as simple as possible so that you could have room to actually put stuff down underneath there instead of just kind of wasting the space. I put this soap dispenser over here just so that you have somewhere where it's actually built in, because this is a moving vehicle. And the faucet actually comes off from the mount so you can move it around, and there's a button on here that allows you to switch the spraying modes, and you can change the heat and the hot or cold water right here. Open it up and close it. Pretty simple stuff. Down here, this is the stove, and we went with an electric one this time. It's an induction cooktop, so you basically need to have a magnetic pan on here, so otherwise it won't work, because it heats the pan directly instead of heating the surface and you just put anything on it. A lot of people think that these are a lot more efficient. I personally prefer propane, but this is what we put in this fan right here, because this one ain't mine. In this drawer right underneath the stove is a giant refrigerator. We had to go with a chest style one here because nothing else is really going to fit in this layout that we had set up here. But all the controls for it are right here, and then you open it up and you have room to grab your stuff out of here. I actually like this one because it has a cage in here, so you can pick this up and clean out the underneath without taking all your stuff out individually. And it has a little divider as well, and a little separate section on this side. Up on the countertop over here, I put in a TV mount. Up top here, these are the storage cabinets that happen to have some butcher block oil still left over in them. They all have these strut supports that are holding the cabinet up so you don't have to deal with anything. And of course they lift up for you, so I don't know, it just makes it a little bit nicer, a little bit more professional. And each one of these cabinets in between here, there's nothing in between each of them, so you could have storage going through all of them. And then that also, I put another one on this side. Originally wanted to have these cabinets coming all the way through on this side as well, but this is the side where your head is supposed to go on the bed, and when you're sitting up you don't want to have no room for your head over here. So I left this side blank instead and just put one storage cabinet right above the seating area. When I move this out of the way and put it back where it belongs on the sink, you can see that there's a seating area here. This couch is about big enough for two people to sit over here comfortably, and underneath it we have these two storage areas. This one right here is a drawer that's pretty big, and over here the wheel well to the vehicle is actually right underneath this seat. So I ended up just making a small little area right here for whatever you got to put in there. So I put this in here where you pull it out and you can use this as a desk. but also this piece slides back or just comes all the way out so that you can store stuff under here like a laptop, books, stuff like that that you might be using as a desk. You can also take this out, and my sister likes to do this all the time where she puts wood on her legs for some reason, so I made this an option so that other people can do that if they wanted to do it. Wood on your legs. So once you close that up, you can also see that there's a door right here, and this is the opening to get to the pass-through storage underneath the bed. And you can also access all of your stuff like the water and the electric and stuff from in here. This is actually a step that I forgot to paint, so I still need to paint this before I let this van go. When you open it up, there's some space in there. Close that up. And there's also a plug that I put hidden inside of this cabinet back here. And this plug is for the refrigerator. So if you just wanted to unplug it for some reason, something's going wrong with it, you need to unplug it real quick. It's right there, and you can plug it right back in right here, and you'll hear it beep when it comes on. Some remotes in here. So this remote right here is for the control of the lights. So you can actually turn them on and off from this remote. You can also make them brighter or darker or change the temperature of them. So right now it's warm lighting. We can have white lighting. We can dim them, and we can make them brighter all from this remote. So that's pretty cool. So you don't have to get up and go all the way over there, all that whole 2 steps it takes to get to that switch. You don't have to do that if you didn't want to. And this remote is to control the fan that's right here. So I put this fan pretty much right in the middle of the van, in between where the sink is and where the shower is. So that way, if you are cooking over here or you're taking a shower, you have the ability to vent out of here. And this vent is pretty much fully electric, so you don't actually have to crank it to open it up. There's a power button right here that if you hit it, it just automatically opens up. And you just press these buttons here to control whether you have air coming in or going out. So let's say I wanted to suck air out. I just press this button, and then there's these lights that control how fast the fan is going to spin. And then we also have a skylight back here that once you open it up, you end up getting a breeze coming through over the bed and going across, so you have a constant supply of fresh air in here. A lot of people know if you put an AC in here, you need a huge electrical system. So I like to do this method instead, where I put a skylight on one side, a fan in the other side, and then you can use it for multiple purposes. There is a shade here that you can pull out so that it can block out the light if you want to get rid of that sunlight. And it also, on the other side, when you pull this out, it has a bug screen, so you can open it up, have a bug screen here, so you don't have to worry about mosquitoes and stuff coming in and bothering you while you're trying to get your fresh air and your sunlight. I put 2 outlets right here and right here. If you're sitting over here using the desk or something like that, you can plug stuff in, and you can also plug in appliances to use with the kitchen. So you have that as a quick access there. This one I put pretty high up over here because this bed actually slides out and converts into a full-size bed, and then turns this entire back area into a bedroom basically. And then you'll still have access to the TV and all of your storage here, and that's why I put this plug up here, so you can have access to a plug as well while you're in the bed. This is a night light, just in case you're afraid of the dark. Just kidding. It's a reading light, so you don't have to get up and turn on all of these lights up here. I know there's a remote and everything, but you can dim these lights in here. I would prefer to just have a small light over here while I'm in bed, so I can do whatever I'm doing without making this entire space brighten up that much. I also put an indent into this wall so that I could make this entire bed from here to here about 6 foot 2 inches long. And when the bed is completely out, it's about 55 inches wide. I think it's slightly smaller. It might be 54. And then I put the same tile over here that I put on the kitchen over here, just to add a little bit of matching symmetry to the van. When you first open up the doors, you'll notice this is where Basically everything that's important is back here that's running everything on the inside. The solar panels on the roof are coming down to this battery. This is nice because when you first turn it on, you can basically see everything that's going on. So it tells you how long it's going to be able to run like this. It'll also tell you how long it's going to take to charge up to max based on how you're charging it up and what you have on. It tells you how many watts you're using. It tells you the output, the input. It tells you everything right there. And then you can also get an app on your phone so you can see everything going on without actually coming back here. So you basically only have to come back here to turn on the unit. This also controls the AC and DC power. So I'm going to turn those on from back here. That's the AC, and then the DC is down here. I put the fuses down there so they're really easy to get to. So if anything goes wrong, you can come right down there and see what's going on with them, change out some fuses. So we have the electric stuff over here, water stuff over there. These things don't mix. It's a 16-gallon water tank, and that comes out to a water pump. Once the water gets in here, it heats up, and then it comes out the other side hot, obviously. So now we have two lines. We have a cold water line and a hot water line that's going into the van, and that supplies the shower and the sink. And there's also a door back here that allows you to reach everything back here, so you can pile this up back here, and whatever you put here, you can also reach on the inside. It turned out being a pretty basic build. Like, I feel like a lot of people have vans that look like this. Biggest challenge for this build was the fact that this van was not mine. So I had to make everything for someone that was not me, which is a little bit more difficult than anything I've really done in the past, because usually I just come in and I decide, well, I want this here and I want this here, and I'm going to build this way. But I had to keep going back and forth with ideas and stuff, and take basically a list of all of the things that the client wanted, and then converting those things into a reality. So thinking about all of that stuff, trying to make a layout actually happen, is a little bit difficult, but I enjoy the challenge. Thank you to everybody who watched this video all the way to the end. Hope you enjoyed this build, this series, and this tour, and I'll be seeing you in the next build. I got some big ideas I'm coming out with soon, so catch you later.